Israel's deity has planned their relevance. They have planned their relevance. They have somehow concocted a plan to where now their host is crying out to them for help, for mercy, for redemption. Isaiah 51. Let's check this out. Isaiah 51, 12-15. I, even I, am he that comforteth you. Who art thou that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die, and of the son of man which shall be made as grass? And forgettest the Lord thy maker, that hath stretched forth the heavens, and laid the foundations of the earth, and has feared continually every day, because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? Where? Because they've mysteriously vanished. And this is the plus. The captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am the Lord thy God, and this is the kicker, that divided the sea, whose waves roared. The Lord of hosts is his name. His host has forgotten what he can do for them. His host, the host, Israel, has forgotten what their deity has done for them and can do for them now and will do for them in the future. In order to make this a reality, their deity needs to do something, take something upon themselves to make their host need them. And that's the plan. Back into Isaiah 51, 19-23. These two things are come unto you. Who will be sorry for you? Desolation and destruction and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort you? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God. Therefore hear now this, you afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith the Lord, and thy God, that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to your soul, bow down that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground, and as the street to them that went over. Now the host doesn't know that their deity is the one that is controlling them. The host does not know that it is the deity that is their oppressor. Actually, because they're conjuring the oppressor, their deity is actually the oppressor in reality. So he is scheduling an oppressor and acting through that agent so that he can then be deliverer. Isaiah 10, 5-6. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against the hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge, to take the spoil, to take the prey, to tread them down like the mire of the streets, after causing destroyers to destroy the host, after placing them in a position to need them. The deity then comes to their rescue for their resurrection. Isaiah 51:17. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which hast drunk in the hand of the Lord the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. Isaiah 52:7-10. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publisheth salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. Thy watchmen will lift up the voice, and with the voice together shall they sing, for they will see eye to eye when the Lord shall bring again Zion. Break forth into singing, sing together. Break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem, of which I have destroyed myself. For the Lord comforted his people, he hath redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of God. This is the staged salvation of Israel's deity. It's all staged. This is the staged salvation. This is the staged redemption. This is the staged righteousness of Israel's deity. They have conjured up the enemy, and they are acting through the enemy so that their host can cry out to them for deliverance, so that their host can then remember them as they desire to be remembered and worship them as they desire to be worshipped, so that they can then deliver them from the oppressor that they conjured and be seen as hero in their eyes once again. It is a staged script. Isaiah 48. Isaiah 48, 9-12. For my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I have refined thee, not with silver. So this is the point. For my name's sake, I have refined you. I have placed you and chosen you into and from out of the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, even for my own sake, will I do it, because why should my name be polluted by you? I won't give my name and my glory unto another. You're the one polluting my name. Why should my name remain polluted because of you? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to cause you to suffer oppression and captivity so that I can then set the stage to rework my name into the narrative of religious history. Set that stage up, get that framework going, get you to remember me because you have forgotten me, and then I will deliver you again. I will be able to show to all of the gods of the hosts around that there is only one Savior, there is only one deliverer in both the political and in the religious realm that is only relevant to existence. That is me. There is no other. There is no one beside me. When you cried, I didn't hear it. I turned my head away. I gave you some time. I let it sit and simmer. I let you season up in it. And then when I thought that it was right, the right time for me to get my name back so that you are no longer polluting it, I did what I had to do. And now you are remembering me and worshiping me the way that I intend. Not for your sake, but for my own sake, because I need you cleansed. Now, what part of this resurrection is this deity of Israel concerned with? What is the aspect of the host that this deity is concerned with concerning what they want purified? We're going to find this out. Now, we get a more sure glimpse of what the deity of Israel, the psychology behind them, what they're looking for by bringing oppression, by bringing captivity, by bringing fear onto their host, by somehow cosmically, cartoonishly moving the energy of the world-ruling kingdom against them. In the book of Isaiah 36, 14-20, thus saith the king, this is the king of Assyria, let not Hezekiah deceive you. Verse 15, neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying the Lord will surely deliver us. Verse 16, hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me, come out at me, with me, eat everyone at his vine, everyone of his fig tree, drink everyone the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own, a land of corn, wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying the Lord will deliver us. Have any of the other gods done anything to us and to me? Verse 19, where are the gods of Hamath and Arphad? Where are the gods of the other nations? Verse 20, who are they among all the gods of these lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand also? So this is an example of the Lord using the all capital Lord, using their arm, who is the Lord all capital God, and that arm using their arm, which is the world ruling then kingdom's military, to bring against the host. This is Isaiah 53's first question. This is what the report is. This is who has believed the report. This is the report. The report is the world ruling empire and kingdom has been stirred up by the Lord all capital God to come against the land. That's the report. Let's see how this plays out. Book of Isaiah 37, 1-4. And it came to pass when Hezekiah heard it that he rent his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of the Lord. And there sat Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders and the priests also, with the king covered with sackcloth, until Isaiah showed up, and said, thus saith unto him, thus saith Hezekiah, this day is a day of trouble, of blasphemy and of rebuke, for the children are come to the birth, and there is no strength to bring them forth. It may be the Lord thy God will hear the words of the assistant of the king of Assyria, and then do something about it. So lift up with prayer for the remnant of the host that is and should be left. Now, everything here is in accord with Isaiah 53. The kind of deportment and the kind of behavior that we have been reviewing that the Lord, all capital God, is looking for in the day of their report, in the day of their trouble, and of rebuke, and of blasphemy. Isaiah 22:12. And in that day did the Lord, all capital God of hosts, call to weeping and to mourning, to baldness and girding with sackcloth. Now, what day is this? Same chapter, up a couple verses, Isaiah 22:5. For it is a day of trouble, just as we saw in Isaiah 37:3. This day is a day of trouble. This day of trouble, always synonymous with the Lord, all capital God, because this is the agent always behind it. Isaiah 22:5, for it is a day of trouble, a day of treading down, of perplexity by the Lord, all capital God of hosts. Nothing changes here. Hezekiah, in that scene, after hearing the report, perfectly performs the disposition demanded by the Lord, all capital God, in Isaiah chapter 53. Now, this attack, this isn't anything random. This attack that is going on between Assyria and Jerusalem in the day of Hezekiah, this isn't random. This is something that has been established generations prior by Ahaz. Isaiah 7. Isaiah 7:17, the Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come from the days that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. Now, what changed the landscape here is that Hezekiah did what was right. What was right is to take on the disposition of one when they hear the report. Remember the question, who hath believed the report? How do you know one has believed the report? How do you know you believe the report? How do you know you're looking at one that has believed the report? Well, their deportment reflects it, and the kind of deportment that the main two deities in the heavenly sanctuary for the host of Israel are looking for is this kind of humiliating, the embodiment of the errors of the land within the individual and the changing of garments into the sorrowful mourning garments and the disposition and conscience and constitution of the individual along with it. They're looking for all of that. And because of that, how did that play out? Isaiah 37:33-35. Thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he will not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow at you, nor come before it with shield, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, he will return, and will not come into this city. Why? I, verse 35, will defend the city to save it for my own sake, and for David's sake. This is how the deity is supposed to be valued. This is how Israel's deity is supposed to be valued. When suffering is in the land, when devastation is in the land, when there is wrong in the land, when an oppressor is in the land, when something contrary to the atmosphere is in the land, one is supposed to, and for the sake of the others following along, pick up a demeanor. One that is symbolized by the wearing of sackcloth and the throwing of dust on the head and the body and all of this. The demeanor and the disposition is what is supposed to connote value and remembrance for the deity of Israel, so that by doing so, that deity can then act, and then after acting, receive the regard that they know they should be and should have been receiving this entire time. But the folks and the host have been doing their own thing, but he needed to schedule and stage their oppression in order for them to see his worth again. Now that they see his worth again, he can be worshipped the way that he wants, and then you can postpone whatever was intended to happen is in such devastation. It will not happen. We saw this with the Nineveh folks in episodes prior. We saw this with Ahab. We're seeing this here with Hezekiah. This is how one who has believed the report behaves. And this for a very, very specific reason to the deity that they are putting their host through, for a reason of resurrection and in a particular aspect of the entity that is this host, of which we will see.
Ever wondered how to truly connect with the Bible? In just 60 seconds, you'll discover a unique way to deepen your faith. Knowing Bible is a course crafted to bring you closer to the Bible and yourself. Tailored to fit your learning goals, it offers a personal journey. Through readings, reflections, and interactive classroom dynamics, you'll grow spiritually. Assignments are designed to give you space for personal devotion. This course helps you envision a devotional experience that truly suits you. Imagine a course that meets you where you are and takes you deeper. Don't miss this chance to transform your spiritual life. Click the link in the description for more information.
Now, we have to remember that what we are reading and consuming from Genesis to Malachi is literature. It's narrative literature. We have to remember that. We have to remember that what we're reading is pieced and put together as literature. That means there is a narrative attached to it. And the narrative attached to the deity of Israel is one of remembrance. His people forget him. He must stage their oppression in order to be remembered. His people then forget him again. He must stage his remembrance in order to be remembered and worshiped the way that he needs and wants to be remembered and worshiped. Now, this isn't literal. We should understand this. This is not literal. There's no deity doing anything in another extraterrestrial location. This is not literal. And in the episodes prior, we've seen how and why this is not literal and how that plays out. Everything that is here written is literature and narrative from the superstitious lens of the people then writing this, and in a more fine-tuned way of their culture. This is cultural. This isn't your culture. This isn't my culture. The culture of these people, gone in 2025. When we read this text, we have to be mindful about the culture and the linguistic context of the culture herein, because therein rests mindset. And the mindset of the individuals writing these things, they're not going to be yours. They're not going to be mine. They're not going to be a Western 2025 rabbinical or Christian theoretical framework. They're going to be its own. And we have to realize that. So none of this is literal in an actual sense. Through the superstitious lens, their deity is working. Through the world-ruling military and empire's military at that time, for the resurrection of a particular aspect of their host. So they're interested in resurrection, but their resurrection is for a particular aspect of that host. Now what is that? To the book of Malachi. Malachi 3, 2-5. But who may abide the day of his coming? This is the same day of trouble. This is the same day of blasphemy. This is the same day of the Lord, all capital G-O-D. And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. He shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, as in former years. And I will come nigh to you to judgment. I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, and against the false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. Now, even though this is saying that thus saith the Lord of hosts, we have to understand that this is the Lord, all capital G-O-D, that is speaking. And we can understand that in this same very chapter, because it is only when the Lord, all capital G-O-D, is present is the day of trouble evident and imminent. The main plan behind all of that, it may seem to be destroy the temple, to get the religion out the way, and however we want to look at that. But through the lens of the psychology behind the deity within this text, their intention is to purify the sons of Levi. In other words, they want to destroy the priesthood to rebuild the priesthood. They need to get rid of the priesthood in order to establish the priesthood. The priesthood is the problem. They're killing the priesthood. After that generation of priesthood is killed, a new generation will emerge from that fallen ash of priesthood. That's the plan. And so when we're looking through this in Malachi, we're seeing a whole lot of an I will and he will, and when he appears, like Who is this he, this I, this him, this my? Why is this so personal? To the book of Joel. Joel 2:10-11, the earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining, and the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong to execute his word, for the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? This one that leads the army, this is not the all capital Lord leaving their extraterrestrial realm and entering into Earth's realm. This one leading the army is not the Lord all capital God leaving the right hand side of the all capital Lord in their extraterrestrial realm within the heavenly sanctuary to enter into Earth's realm to do something physically. That's not what this is pointing to. There is an agent that is working on behalf of the ones that are fixed in the extraterrestrial location of the mythological narrative within the text. Going into the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 13:10, for the stars of heaven and the constellations shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine on. This is exactly what we just read in Joel, but it's now here again in Isaiah. Who is this talking about? Isaiah 13, same chapter, 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. The changing of the heaven, the constellations falling, the sun being darkened, this is all imagery pointing to Babylon. And the one that is doing it, the he that is doing it, this is the Medes, or these are the Medes, I should say. And they're set up against this host because this host, Babylon, has violated somehow, but in some way, the deity that regulates things. And so now the host that needs to be called for destruction is called for destruction. Now the host of Israel, they're doing the same thing that Babylon has been doing, and the same thing is happening to them and will happen to them. The stars will fall, the heaven will change, the constellations and the seasons and the darkness of the sun, all of that is hedged up and situated for Israel also. Why? Zephaniah 3:2-7, she obeyed not the voice, she received not correction, she trusted not in the Lord, she drew not near to her God. Her princes, this is the priesthood, are roaring lions. Her judges, this is the priesthood, are evening wolves. They gnaw, this is the priesthood, not the bones till the morrow. Her prophets, this is the priesthood, are light and treacherous persons. Her priests, this is the priesthood, have polluted the sanctuary, they have done violence to the law. Destruction is imminent, all because of the priesthood. And yet, from out of that, something is to be born. Isaiah 52:1, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. The script is for the downfall of the priesthood, for the resurrection of the priesthood. The script is for the downfall of the priesthood, for the resurrection of the priesthood. This is the intention of Israel's deity, because only his name is magnified by the priesthood, and it has been polluted by the priesthood. And so to get rid of that and to rebuild it means to reestablish their name, and in a key particular way and in a key term that I think we will all be familiar with, which I will show shortly. Now, in the midst of all this calamity, there is always one. There is always a Hezekiah. There is always a Jeremiah. There is always an Isaiah. There is always a main character in Isaiah 53 standing up as an intercessor for the land. And specifically, the priesthood, and more specifically, for a certain percent of the priesthood to survive and to continue the legacy, the intended legacy of the deity. Isaiah 55:7, the Lord, all capital God, hath opened mine ear, and I was not rebellious, neither turned away back. I gave my back to the smiters, and my cheek to them that plucked off the hair. I hid not my face from shame and spitting, For again, the Lord, all capital G-O-D, will help me. Therefore shall I not be confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint. And I know that I shall not be ashamed. In the context of this environment, these verses matter. These verses are not, as we are familiar with in the Christian theory, associated in any other context than the context of the report. Of the report of the Lord, all capital G-O-D's arm against the land. Now, how can we say this? Well, this has already been fulfilled. This language, this is a general language for a general character for a very specific moment in time. Ezekiel 3:4-9. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Israel and speak to them. For thou art not sent into a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose words you cannot understand. If I did send you to them, they would listen, but not our people. But the house of Israel will not listen to you. They will not listen to me, for all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted. Now remember what the author writing and scripting the general character in Isaiah 50 and verse 7 said. The Lord God will help me. Therefore I will not be confounded. I have set my face like a flint, so that I know I will not be ashamed. And you go to Ezekiel 3 and verse 8. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and their foreheads strong against their foreheads. As an adamant, harder than flint, have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So when we're seeing this character that the author scripting Isaiah, once you get to the chapter 40 part, and then you make it to the chapter 53 entry into the context of the report, you're seeing the general character that the author has in mind. And it is a character that Jeremiah fulfills, as we've seen in previous episodes. And it is a character that Ezekiel fulfills, as we're here now seeing the language and the context, word for word being used. Because the main character in Isaiah 53 is not a dying and rising Messiah figure, or is not a Jewish Greek character, and is or is not a Jewish nation, past, present, or future. Those theories are false according to the cultural narrative that is within the scriptures. So when we're seeing this general character outline, we're supposed to know that when it comes time for the report, there will always be one. There will always be one that takes upon themselves the burdens of the land and positions himself between the priesthood and between the deity of the priesthood to fulfill a specific role and task in ushering in a new or regenerated generation of that same priesthood. And this is all outlined because this is why the report exists. The report exists so that one can take it upon themselves to take the position of quote unquote Son of Man, which is quote unquote intercessor between the land and the priesthood and the deity of the priesthood. Isaiah 59:16, and he saw that there was no man and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness, it sustained him. The act in and of itself of the report is done to get an intercessor within the land going. Plain language. The act of hearing the report of the kingdom of God on their way, of the arm of the Lord, all capital G-O-D, on their way, is to stir up the feeling within one or within a group or within folks from within the priesthood to take on the burdens of the land and to physically and mentally, philosophically demonstrate the outcome of that, and then also the intended repentance or penitence that the priesthood and the land or the temple should also be demonstrating within themselves, but they are not. The act is to stir up an intercessor in the land. This isn't a Messiah dying for the sins of the people and their blood doing something superstitiously mysterious. This isn't about the nation of Israel or the Jews' rabbinical theory as this main character as the nation of Israel. The cultural context does not fit those theories. The Bible proves that to be wrong. When we're seeing this main character, we're seeing in Isaiah 53, we're seeing an individual that is stirred up to be intercessor for a particular burden that the land and the priesthood has put on them because of the wounds that they are believing their deity is suffering from them, and so bringing destruction against them, and so doing what they're doing for lenience, for the hope of a certain percent of that priesthood to survive what will happen, to continue the legacy in a more pure way.
In a world bound by tradition, imagine liberating your spiritual journey beyond structured norms. Discover why it is important to devote time to mentally claiming your spirituality. Let the Bible guide and enrich your devotional culture, transcending a traditional religious experience. Consider meditating on the Bible's mind to better experience a spirituality that is personal and profound. Embrace the sanctuary of the Bible's words to connect deeply with your inner spiritual landscape. Reflect on what you think you know, creating a personalized path to enlightenment. Your spiritual journey is uniquely yours. Let personal mental devotional culture guide you beyond the conventional into a realm of personal devotion.
Now, after all of that has taken place, there is an intended outcome that Israel deity has planned and scheduled. There is a resurrection Israel's deity is concerned with. And I've been saying it this entire time without giving any proof. So now let's look at some proof in Zechariah. Zechariah 13, 8 and 9, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts will be cut off and die, but the third will be left. I will bring the third through the fire and refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They will call on my name, and I will swear, and I will hear them. They will call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, this is my people. It is my people. And they shall say, the Lord is my God. Now, what we're seeing here this is very interesting. What we're seeing here is we are seeing a new Jerusalem formed from out of an old Jerusalem. We're seeing a new Jerusalem, and I understand how that may conflict with modern Christian theoretical thought of what we imagine to be coming from up in the sky down to the earth. We're seeing a new Jerusalem brought up from the ground. And this is the shift because New Testament theory kind of deviates away from the intended cultural context within the scripture. Jerusalem in context is not a temple. Jerusalem in context is not however you want to think about that. Jerusalem never comes down from above. Jerusalem, from Genesis to Malachi, always rises up from the ashes of the ground. And those ashes from the ground, they are the previous priesthood. A new priesthood is formed from the ashes of the previous priesthood and is risen from the ground. This is the intended resurrection that the mind of Israel's deity has in play in their framework. And we can just go to Isaiah because Jerusalem is not a city in context. Isaiah 1:25-27, and I will turn mine hand upon thee, purely purge away thy dross, take away all thy sin. This is said to the priesthood. I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward you will be called what? A group of people is not a literal city. You will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. This is Bible language. Zion is not a city. Zion is an assembly. Zion will be redeemed with judgment, and the converts along with that with righteousness. Jerusalem is an assembly. Jerusalem is a priesthood. This is Bible language and specifically familiar language, particular to the author scripting the book of Isaiah. None of this should be weird, right? We shouldn't think that this is weird to believe that from out of an oppression, from out of captivity, the deity of Israel wants to resurrect a priesthood, right? Exodus 19, 4-6. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you will be a particular treasure unto me above all the people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me what? A kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words that you're supposed to speak to your generations. Now, this is the mindset. This is the kind of resurrection that Israel's deity is looking for. This is how we can know that there is a deviation in the deity of the Christian theory. Two different goals. Both love resurrection, yes. Both. Can't deny that. But if we're going to be consistent with Genesis to Malachi, and if we're going to continue to keep thinking that we're observing the figure from Genesis to Malachi in Matthew to the Revelation, well, we're wrong, because culturally, linguistically, contextually, and philosophically, the deity from Israel is concerned with the resurrection of the priesthood. With the priesthood. This is the only thing on their mind. So when they're bringing the arm against the priesthood, it's because they have a resurrection of the priesthood in mind, because this is what they do. This is the narrative. I'm always saying narrative in the Bible. This is the Bible's narrative. And if we can follow this narrative, along with the cultural inclinations behind the author scripting this narrative, we can't mess this up. And we should not. Because this is the cultural narrative of these people, of these folks. Israel's deity, the narrative associated to Israel's deity is that he needs the oppression of the host and the host to cry out for them, and then to go and to be the redeemer and savior of the host. And then now that has happened, a new breed of priesthood can continue the legacy, and he can set the stage of don't interact with this folk and that folk. They have bad things to get you away from me. Well, they're going to do it anyways. He's going to need to cause their oppression again. And the cycle is just going to need to repeat. And inevitably, the end of that cycle is the killing of the priesthood for the resurrection of another. This is very plain and evident in Isaiah 65. Isaiah 65, 13 to 15. Thus saith the Lord. This is still all capital G-O-D, because this is the agent that does this. Behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And what's going to happen next? You shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for the Lord, all capital G-O-D, will slay you and will call his servants by another name. Unlike the New Testament philosophy, Jerusalem is not supposed to come down from above, but it's supposed to rise up from the ground. So this is where we can see a deviation in cultural philosophical context. This is how we can understand that there is some sort of machination going on that really should not, because the narrative should be consistent. But it's not. And it's for the reason, culturally, that it is not because the culture deviates from Matthew to the Revelation, in that it is a Greek Western thought, as opposed from Malachi to Genesis, which is a more philosophical Eastern way of seeing things. Israel is not a city, literal. Isaiah 60:14, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. They shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the host, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. This is an assembly. Isaiah 62:11 and 12, behold, the Lord hath proclaimed unto the end of the world, say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him, his work before him. They will call you the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord. You will be called, sought out, a city not forsaken. So we can see where the narrative in Isaiah is going. We can see what the author scripting Isaiah wants to convey. The deity of Israel is concerned with the resurrection of the priesthood, and is also concerned with the resurrection of their name via the priesthood. The priesthood is the reason why that name is being polluted. Therefore, for my sake, I cannot let you keep defeating my name and my purpose. I need to kill you. I need to cosmically stir up the energy of the world ruling kingdom and empire's military to destroy you, so that then I can purge from out of you a more clean amount of priests to build up a new generation of priesthood, so that my name can never be spoiled again. This is the resurrection that Israel's deity is looking for, and this is the relevance behind the report. This is the relevance behind the report. And it is because of this report that one main Isaiah 53 character stirs up within themselves to get the land in a position of lenience so that the priesthood can be spared by their deity, however percentage will be, so that the legacy of the deity can continue in a more sure and pure way. This is the psychology behind this, and it has a lot to do with the cultural, philosophical, and linguistic contextual aspect of these people, one of which we can't ignore or avoid, because if we do, we will go down paths, thoughts, imaginations, conjectures, projections, and we will not get the point of what the author is trying to convey.